Welcome to Monday Morning Coffee with Inside the Firm. Each week, our hosts will be interviewing local, regional, and national business leaders to give you an inside peek into how they lead their business to success in the ever-competitive business climate.
Welcome to Monday Morning Coffee with Inside the Firm. Today, I have a very special guest. I think this is her third, fourth, or maybe even fifth appearance on the show, Marilyn Ackerman. She is an outstanding real estate agent and entrepreneur who is also my beautiful wife. Marilyn is a Colorado real estate agent and entrepreneur who ranks in the top 1% of the 2,440 real estate agents in Homestart Realty Group in Colorado for a combination of sales dollar volume and number of sales for the past 3 years. People come to her to stay informed about the greater Boulder real estate market and to buy or sell a home in the area. People also get a lot of great market information as well as tips on buying and selling in this market from her YouTube channel, Greater Boulder Longmont Area Homes. She is truly a real estate expert. Marilyn, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Lance.
Yeah, we just left the house. Now we're here. So I wanted to have you on the show today because there was a huge fire, as you know, in the Boulder County area. It was South Boulder County, basically, so far from our house, but it did affect multiple family members of ours, family, friends, that sort of thing. And since we're in the real estate industry, you and I we're looking at it from all different sorts of angles. For everybody who's listening, over 1,000 homes ended up burning. And if you listened to Friday's show a few days ago, then you kind of heard the breakdown that Alex and I gave about what we think the rate of build it back is going to be. But Marilyn had some other stuff after I was telling her about those statistics that I wanted to have her on the show for. So I guess the first question I'd like to ask you is, what do you think we can expect to happen with the real estate values after a community had major devastation like Boulder County with the Marshall fires?
Well, to answer that, I've looked at 3 examples of communities that have had major fires or a flood. So let's look at what happened with those. And 2 of those were during COVID. So the first one was in August of 2021. The Lake Tahoe area experienced massive fires for nearly 2 weeks, which destroyed about 660 homes.
Okay.
And thousands of acres of just beautiful forested mountainsides and so forth. And now, of course, we know that during COVID, real estate values of homes in these kind of getaway locations, vacation spots, were in high demand and increasing in value. And Lake Tahoe was one of those areas. So it was already increasing in value quite a lot right before these fires. The fires happened. And then after the fires, it just kept on increasing in value.
And you and I going into this show, actually even before the show, before you looked at that, we thought it was going to be the opposite, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that was just our idea.
Yes.
We didn't know about any of these kind of detailed data points.
Right. And so when I actually looked at it, Lake Tahoe homes, so the fires were in August, and September through the end of the year, homes in Lake Tahoe went up and continuing their upward trajectory, up 4% on average, just in those few months until the end of the year. So that was really only about 4 months.
And obviously we're talking about the ones that survived, like the existing stock.
Yeah, the existing stock just continued to go upward. I've got 2 more examples.
Okay, good.
Another example was this great devastation that happened near Granby, Colorado. Granby is close to Rocky Mountain National Park. It's a beautiful mountain lake area that is a destination for people to go on vacation or have a second home at. And so in, it was November of 2020, about 300 homes were destroyed in the East Troublesome Fire, and this was in Granby. And what happened to those home values was they just continued to rise, and they rose very sharply still with even with the fire happening, even with mountainsides being burned and a lot of views kind of being destroyed in a way, they kept going up. Now, those two examples happened during COVID when people started to realize also that, well, their home was becoming more valuable to them, more important to them as people started working from home.
Yeah.
And they started not traveling so much and investing more in things like remodeling so they could enjoy where they were. And they also stopped socializing so much out of the home and were socializing more in their home or other people's homes. So you would think, well, okay, that makes sense. Home values kept going up because of COVID and these other factors. But here's another example of an area, and this is before COVID. In 2013, Lyons, Colorado, had a huge flood. Lyons is also in Boulder County. It's right on the edge of the foothills. And so they had the huge 500-year flood in Lyons, Colorado in 2013, and they had 75 homes destroyed in this flood. Now, to put that in perspective, the population of Lyons is only 2,033 people. So this is a massive portion of the homes.
Say it one more time.
The population of Lyons is 2,033 people.
Oh, goodness. And they 75 homes?
75 homes.
That's a lot.
It's an enormous...
It's a small town, if anybody knows. It's kind of like one of these mountain towns where it's built out. It can't build anymore, basically, because
Not really, no.
You fill up a valley and you're done.
Yeah, and it's gorgeous and picturesque. And so you would think, well, what happened with that town? The home values continued to rise, just the same as they did in the outlying areas that were not the mountain town, but they rose the same amount, even though there was such great devastation. A lot of the natural areas in Lyons, like the parks running through the middle of town that are a great draw to live there, were wiped out and took something like 3 or 4 years or more to rebuild these massive, beautiful parks. So still, even with a lot of amenities destroyed, the home values kept going up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Radical. Yeah, I would not have expected that. To put it in perspective, too, people were wondering, like, oh, what's a 500-year flood? Basically 17 inches in 2 days. And we usually get 17 inches in 1 year in Colorado. So that was an extraordinary amount of rain.
So I do think that the area in South Boulder and the area around Boulder County, it will just continue on its upward trajectory, just like these other areas have, even after these fires.
This is sort of an off-the-cuff question, but I'm going to ask it anyway, and that is so supply and demand, right? Just basic economics. If there was already a housing shortage in Boulder County, does this just add to it? And then is that part of the reason why real estate values will go back, just continue to go up? Or is it just a non-factor? That
would make sense. And there's one thing that would make sense, that yes, now we have less of a supply. We have more demand. We have the same supply and more demand is what I meant. And so here's an interesting thing. I looked at the number of homes that were for sale on the MLS within a 20-mile radius of Louisville, Colorado, the epicenter of the fire, Louisville, Superior. And within a 20-mile radius, I was wondering, well, could people replace their home very easily if they wanted to? And what I found was that in this 20-mile radius, which would include all of Denver and all of Boulder, there were only 249 homes for sale on the MLS that had 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, and a 2-car garage under $1 million.
Holy cow.
So 249 homes. And that's, I was thinking, well, that's what these houses were. A lot of them were bigger than that, though, with 4 bedrooms or 3-car garage. A lot of them were bigger. But if someone wanted to replace their home, what would they be shopping for? What could they find? And only 249 within a 20-mile radius. And a 20-mile radius in this area, that could mean you're driving for 45 minutes to get
depending on the road. 100%.
Yeah. So yes, it was already very tight. The numbers were about 15% less homes on the market this year than last year, and last year was very tight.
Why is that? Why do you think that is?
Why do we have less homes on the market? Well, we have as you know, builders are building very slowly, if they're building at all, because they're having shortages and they're having a really hard time keeping up with materials. So that's one thing. And millennials are forming new households at a huge rate. Millennials are getting to that age, mid 20s, 30s, early 30s, and so forth, where a home becomes very important. So they're entering the home buying market, and that's a massive amount of people. So the demographics are not in people's favor to purchase a home right now with so much demand.
But do you think there was anything like we went through this big home selling and buying phase during COVID with the low interest rates from the Fed, and like we just kind of burned through that cycle, and then we hit the end of that cycle? You know what I mean? Like the amount of turnover, we burned through that cycle, and now there's just less turnover because of those reasons?
Oh, you think that a lot of people are probably settled now?
Yeah.
And they're not...
The big migration happened. And there's still some, but...
Yeah, do I think it already happened? I just don't see it slowing down, though.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's just so much demand, and it's so competitive out there to get homes under contract for buyers.
Yeah.
So
in the area you're describing, how fast are homes selling, even though there's very little of them to sell?
Yes, they're selling in the up to $1 million, even up to $1.5 million. They're selling in about 23 days on average, so 3 weeks or so. And when they are something that checks off all the boxes, like 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, 2-car garage, so forth, then they're selling a little bit faster, within 2 weeks, more like 2 weeks rather than 3.
Okay. Yeah. So it's accelerating.
It is accelerating.
But it did slow down last year, right? At the third, fourth quarter?
Oh, did it slow down?
Did the average days on market slow down? Increase, sorry.
Oh, did it increase? It was nothing remarkable.
Okay,
kind
of like
by
par.
1 week or something,
okay.
But it wasn't, it wasn't.
Because the average is what,
remarkable.
like 30?
Yeah. Yeah. So that is a strong seller's market to have a 30 homes selling in 30 days. A balanced market would be that homes are selling in about 5 to 6 months.
Oh my goodness.
We'd have a balanced market. Yeah. So gosh, I'm not sure what people are going to do who have lost their homes in the fires. It's just it's going to be very competitive to find an existing home for sale. And even when I looked on the MLS, I was looking at townhomes, condos, and single family homes, new builds in there as well. 249 available under $1 million.
Yeah.
When we have probably 1,000 families who
just from the fire.
Yeah, just from the fire.
And that's not including everybody else who's already moving into Colorado looking for housing, or people even moving from Denver looking to get out of Denver and move further north like us, where there's less people and all of that, right? Right. So it's going to make this market very tight for quite a long time. I mean, I would imagine for at least a year. Yeah.
And it was already very tight.
Yeah. So I have a question that I'll ask at the end, but like the next one I think is, what would you tell somebody right now who's looking? Should they wait for when the market cools down? I mean, it sounds like go as fast as you can if you can even find anything. I mean, is there really what would even slow the acceleration? What would slow the acceleration?
Oh, that's a good question.
Well,
yeah.
That's more rhetorical. Like, honestly, because I mean, the answer is no. I don't know what would slow it. I guess the Fed could raise interest rates. They're considering they are, but my opinion is they're in a corner of a corner, and I don't think they even can. I think they could just, even if they do, they're going to screw up. I mean, they're going to scare the hell out of the stock market and everything else. So they know they're playing with a stack of cards anyway. So, if somebody is still listening to this and they think, man, I just feel like you're going to get a crash,
Right.
Going to be a crash.
Right. Or
30%. I could save 30% if I just wait. I know it.
Or we'll just, someone might think, we'll just wait until the builders can catch up, until these supply chain issues are alleviated.
Yeah, we're going to catch up.
So what is being predicted by Goldman Sachs was a 16% increase in home prices over the next year for the nation. So the house that you're thinking about now would cost 16% more in 1 year. And I think in this area, particularly Boulder County, it's going to increase quite a bit more than that. More than 16%
if you had to
this
guess.
year. If I had to guess, I'm thinking 20%.
That's insane.
Well, that would be my guess. I mean, I'm seeing home prices every...
No, I know.
Yeah.
I know. I'm not saying you're insane. I said that is insane.
Every month when I look at these stats, I see that home prices have sold for an average of about, since the end of the summer, 2 to 3% more than asking price every month. They sell for 2 to 3% more than asking price. So, something sells for 3% more than the next home is listed in that neighborhood at that same price.
And then that's how you get this compounding effect.
And then it sells for 3% more. So the chart is a hockey stick of what the home values have been doing for the last almost 2 years.
And don't forget to put that in perspective, right? So if you're looking at rate of return, the average stock market return is about 10% a year for the last century. That's just a fact.
Yeah, that would be that sounds pretty good, but not compared to this.
That's my point. That's kind of my point. Yeah, exactly. I mean, then if you're running a small business like ours, you're supposed to be, a good year for you is 10% profit. A great year is 20%. So it seems like if you can, whether you're an investor or somebody actually trying to get a hold of a home, and then I always like your math of, let's say, you put in, your rate of return is actually even bigger than that because of the amount of capital you actually have to put in.
Right. So with stocks, you're getting that 1-to-1 return on your money.
On the capital, yeah.
Yeah. You put in, well, let's use a big number, $100,000 maybe, and then you're going to make $10,000. That'd be a great year in the stock market. And, right. But if you had $100,000 to put down on a house, you would get that 10% return on about, maybe a $500,000 house. So you'd be making $50,000 on your $100,000.
Yeah.
Or not 10%. I think you'll make 16% is predicted anyway.
Yeah. At a minute. Yeah. And these are all just guesses.
Yeah.
So I guess back to the question: should someone wait for when the market cools down to buy a home, or should they be just on it?
If someone is in a position to buy a home, and meaning they have their down payment, they're loan worthy, credit's good, then no, they should not wait. They should jump into this housing market and know it's not for the faint of heart. It is for someone who is ready to, say, do something like maybe waive having a home inspection. Maybe inspect it yourself while you're looking, while you're doing your showing. So it's for people who are ready to jump in, and they should not wait at all.
Yeah, that's it. It's interesting. I mean, you hear all these people saying that, they again, everybody thinks they can predict the market. I don't think they, in the negative way. And obviously we're giving predictions, and Marilyn is about the positive way. What advice would you specifically, last question, and then we'll sign off here. What advice would you give specifically to fire victims looking for a home? Not just everybody in Boulder County.
Oh, fire victims looking for a home.
Yeah. Is there a difference, do you think? Or is it the same sort of thing? Be prepared. This isn't for the faint of heart. I'm sorry you're in this position, but it's go time if you want to stay in Boulder County, and you just got to be on it.
I know. And I feel real bad that they probably would have lost their equity that they built up in their home.
Why is that?
Well, because when you get a mortgage, you're required to get insurance that will pay off the bank in the event that there's a flood or fire. And most people get the minimum amount of insurance needed. So if they bought their home for $580, I just saw this on the news the other day. Someone bought their home for $580,000. It was likely worth close to $800,000.
Oh my gosh!
And they had insured for $500,000 because $80,000 was their down payment 3 or 4 years ago when they bought it. So they can't, if you can't rebuild, then it's going to be hard to step down from that really beautiful. Those houses were so beautiful in Superior and Louisville. This was a very, very upper class neighborhood, and people may not be able to afford that type of house at this point if they have a similar income that they did a few years ago, and if they bought it a few years ago. So it's
not that they lost their down payment necessarily. It's more that their down payment isn't as powerful as it used to be if they wanted the same comparable home.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So my advice would be, you may have to move into a home that is not quite as nice, an older home possibly, but there's plenty of wonderful neighborhoods with older homes within a 10, 20 mile radius that, there's not plenty. There's going to be competition for them. Mm-hmm. But I would say that it's going to be best just to start building that equity again right away, because they will see returns on their investment when they buy another home quickly in this year.
Yeah, definitely. Great information. Thanks for being on the show today. Just want to give you one more plug here. If people liked what they heard today and they're interested in following you, I'd recommend they go to your YouTube channel. You can tell us where they go? Where do they go for that?
Yeah, my YouTube channel is Greater Boulder Longmont Area Homes, and I put out great content every week. If you are thinking of moving to the area and you want tips on buying a home here, selling a home here, and what's going on with this market, I am keeping everyone fully updated. And people get a lot of great information, and they feel very educated and confident about buying or selling real estate in this market from that channel.
And it's free. FREE. So make sure you check that out. That's Greater Boulder Longmont Area Homes on YouTube. Check Marilyn out. Thank you again for everything you talked about today.
Oh, thanks, Lance.
See ya. Cool. There we go. Let's go make some supper.
Okay.
That was 26 minutes.
Oh, okay. That was longer than I thought.